This is Keeping It Livable, the program that highlights the people, places, and events in gorgeous Prince George's County. And now your host, Dr. Jacqueline Brown.
Just a few short years ago, we watched the emergence of two young American women, Venus and Serena Williams. We watched them rise to the top of the tennis world. But before the Williams sisters, there were a number of women who blazed a path for today's top female tennis players. Women like Billie Jean King, Althea Gibson, Martina Navratilova, Lori McNeil, and Zina Garrison. They set the tone for today's young tennis players. We are so honored today to have Zina Garrison as our guest. In 1990, Zina Garrison became the first African-American woman to reach a Grand Slam final since Althea Gibson did it in 1958, which was 32 years earlier. In 1988, Zina Garrison beat Martina Navratilova at the U.S. Open and also represented the United States in the Olympics, winning a bronze medal in singles and a gold medal in doubles. She won at least one singles or doubles title each year during her 15-year professional career, from 1984 to 1995. In her career, she won 14 singles titles and 20 doubles titles. She finished her career with a singles record of 587 victories and 271 losses, and a doubles record of 436 victories and 231 losses. She is a new resident of Prince George's County. Welcome to Keeping It Livable, Zina. This is an absolute honor to have you aboard.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so pleased. I was telling Zina when she came into the studio today, I had my kids sitting around me saying, you're going to root for her. She's winning. Whatever she does, she wins, you root. That's it. It's called Zina Garrison. They call it tennis, but it's called Zina. Anyway, so that's what we were doing. But Zina, tell us a little bit about your background and how you became interested in tennis.
I actually had a brother that played baseball next to the park that I grew up in Houston, Texas. And I would go and sit on the bench and watch my coach then, John Wilkerson, play tennis. And while my brother played baseball next door, and I was about 10 and a half, almost 11, and John came over to me and he said, hey, what are you doing, using up God's air? And I said, yeah. He said, would you like to try this game? And so I played softball a couple of years earlier, so I figured, hey, this should be easy. So I hit the first ball over the fence, and I was like, oh, this is really great. I'm so excited. He goes, hey, you see these little white lines? I want you to keep the ball on the little white lines. And been playing ever since, and I quit about for 3 months. And then Bill Cosby, of all people, came out and he did a tennis clinic for about 100 kids. And out of the 100 kids, he picked me to hit with him, and I've been playing ever since.
Oh, my goodness. You know, you were supposed to do this. You were supposed to do this. I don't believe anything's by coincidence. You were supposed to do this. I understand that when you were a little girl, you played tennis with older and bigger girls, and you were only a preteen. How did that affect your skill development?
Well, actually, myself and Lori McNeil, who also rose to the top in women's professional tennis, we grew up at the same park. We weren't really, the older kids wouldn't hit with us, so Lori and I would have to hit with ourselves, or we'd have to hit on the backboards, and they kept telling us, hey, when you get better, we'll hit with you. So we did everything possible to get better, and then after about a year and a half, we were beating some of them. So my coach, John, knew that he had something special in me and Lori, and we started playing together till about 21, and it was, we're still great friends. Lori is now working for the United States Tennis Association for one of our national coaches for high performance, so we have our hand in tennis still.
Wow. You knew you loved it right away.
I knew that I loved the competition. I was the youngest of 7 kids. the youngest by 10 years. And for me, I knew that, you know, I was a very spoiled kid and that I was going to get my way all the time. And tennis was a way to show myself that, you know, I could play an individual sport, and I started to love it after that.
That's wonderful. We're looking at some of the shots there. That picture is from where?
Usually I'm like the worst with. It's I can tell you this. It's in the early '80s because I'm wearing Lecoq Sportif there, so it's one of my first ones coming out of high school and going on to the professional tour.
Wow.
That actually is a very my latter part of my career. It's really interesting because people know me. If I wear a hat, people recognize me more than when I don't wear a hat. So my latter part of like the 1990s, I wore a hat and I wore these visors, and so.
That's amazing, and that's an amazing action shot there.
That actually, I can always tell by the way my hair is. That actually is, I think, in San Diego, California, and was actually getting ready to play, and I think it's like in the late 80s, because I remember wearing that hairstyle and those clothes, and I beat Chris Evert at the U.S. Open.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. You know, Title IX was passed in 1972. And the number of women playing sports since then has nearly tripled, but the media news coverage for women athletes really hasn't kept pace. How does this deficit affect female athletes?
Well, it's interesting because one of my mentors is Billie Jean King, who you know, helped with the Title IX. I mean, it was a big contributor of why Title IX was passed in the first place. And it's interesting. I find it very interesting because it's a consistent battle to believe that women athletes can actually sell as far as marketability is concerned. And like it or not, it's still a man's world, and the dollar is what brings people to things or not to things. And you know, I look at right now. I mean, in the Olympics in Atlanta, when the young women won basketball, and then after that, you start seeing jerseys and you start seeing tennis shoes. I think Cheryl Swoop came out with a tennis shoe, and now it's kind of stopped again. And it's not necessarily saying that we can't sell the sport. It's just that we need the opportunity to be able to sell the sport. And it's interesting. The number one, I was reading an article. The number one powerful sportswoman in the world today is Maria Sharapova, who's not an American, but she grew up here. She's very beautiful. She happens to be a tennis player, but it's because sex is selling for her, and that's where the market is. And, you know, I would just like to see the same opportunities to be given to all female athletes, and to be able to give the opportunity to, because you're successful at what you do on the court, give yourself an opportunity to be made the person that you are and be able to sell yourself, and not the way that someone wants to make you to be sold.
Well, it sounds like the effect may be some determination on the part of female athletes to try and rectify that deficit.
Well, it's a very interesting thing because I mean we have to work together first of all, and we have to also not really buy into that's the only way that you can actually make money is basically you have to sex sells. And realize that there are other opportunities, and there are people out there that will accept you for the person that you actually are.
Yes. I tell you, there have also been a lot of studies that show the connection between sports participation and career roles or work, the world of work. And what's that relationship? The studies are saying that there's something that we learn with sports that actually passes over into the world of work.
Well, it's very interesting because I am a firm believer that giving your kid the opportunity to play sports, even if he's not a gifted athlete, because I think you do learn a lot. You learn, first and foremost, you learn about discipline, learning about being a team player. You're also learning about taking the role of being a leader if you play in an individual sport. There is definitely a bit of honesty in it by obeying by the rules that are put in position. I'm not a believer of this whole new young thing where, you know, maybe the kid needs to take a little bit of something. I'm definitely not an advocate of steroids or anything like that to enhance the opportunity or the possibility for a player. But sports does give you, there's so much value. And, you know, I know the 28 kids that I grew up with and have gone on to own their own real estate companies. They're doctors, they're lawyers. 2 of us went on to be professional tennis players. And a lot of it has to do, sports broadcasters, a lot of it has to do with the discipline that we were instilled when we were younger.
I think you've said it. That key word is discipline. Yeah. And that's discipline, resilience, tenacity, and being focused. You know, and being able to do that and to get it done.
Well, you know, and it's also it's a thin line between for a professional athlete once they're finished their career, because you do have all that and you've learned so much and you've been the top of the person that you can be in the sport that you have. But then the world sometimes doesn't allow you to try to do something else. It's like, well, you're an athlete. You know, well, that doesn't mean that I don't know political, you know, awareness of different things. It doesn't mean that I have other hobbies or other opportunities or other things that I would like to try.
So one of the things is to make sure that people understand there are tremendous assets and skills that come from being a professional athlete, but it is really wrong to make an athlete one-dimensional.
Oh, can you say that again?
It is wrong to make an athlete one-dimensional.
And that's just part of the stereotypical of the world that perceives us. And, you know, I am constantly being approached by, you know, well, that athlete is a smart athlete, or that athlete, you know, doesn't have it going on. Well, first of all, to be the top of the sport or to get where you have to have some smarts or be able to analyze in different ways to get to where you are. And so that means that you have a gift from somewhere, and that can be related to other things.
Absolutely, and it's a loss for us if we don't utilize that, actually, and we need to understand that. We just have a little bit of time left in this section, but just off the top of your head, who were some of your role models?
First, I talked about Billie Jean King was definitely one of
She's a heck of a role model, too, I tell you.
And when I was growing up, Arthur Ashe was extremely important in my life, and kind of geared me into being the person that I am today. And my coach, John Wilkerson, but I think the biggest one was my mom. My dad died when I was 1. My mom raised 6 kids. Wow. By herself, and she was a diabetic and was sick most of the time. So, you know, my mom was definitely the one that always told us, so you can be the best that you can be, and no matter what that is.
I think that's absolutely amazing. Ranging from the greats to the very great, his mama. This segment, we're out of time for this segment of Keeping It Livable, but don't go away, because we're going to be back to continue our conversation with tennis great Zina Garrison.
The most important thing you can do to be successful? It's to stay in school. It's cool to be in school. Student attendance is critical. Everyone knows the important role it plays in getting good grades. If your child is absent, please send a written note stating the reason for the absence. It's helpful to contact the school directly to arrange for makeup assignments. Because of the new state assessments of student performance, attendance is more important than ever. Talk to your child about the importance of attendance. You know they'll be listening.
Yes, be cool. Go to school.
We've got the perfect place for your next family reunion. Gorgeous Prince George's County.
We're ready to help you find great hotel accommodations, picnic facilities, discount admissions to our fabulous attractions, or to help you learn more about researching your own family history.
I'm Lucy Tiggle, your family reunion specialist. Call me and let me help you plan the greatest and best family reunion ever.
Do you know that between birth and age 18, children spend only 10% of their waking hours at school? The rest of their time is spent in environments such as home, where parents control the learning atmosphere. Schools alone cannot educate our children. It really is a shared responsibility. Education is an essential part of any livable community. Are you doing your part to help educate your child? We're back, and we're talking to professional tennis star and wonderful woman, Zina Garrison. I want to talk to you about, considering that we were talking about obstacles that female athletes have had to overcome. What are the challenges that they still face?
I think right now it's just, I think one of the biggest challenges that we still face is that we are still considered to be, in sports or is concerned, kind of like a second-class citizen when it comes to sports. I mean, I think that women's...
That's still there, that bias is still there?
It's still there. It's getting better with WNBA, with golf, and tennis has always been at the forefront, and it's been really nice. It's been nice to see like Venus or Serena or Lindsay or Martina Hingis, you know, be able to break the barriers when it comes to being on the cover of Vogue or Cosmopolitan and all these magazines that we never had the opportunity to actually do, or to be on some of these television shows. I mean, it's been really good.
That's so I guess that kind of answers, there are greater opportunities today for women in sports?
Yeah, there's definitely greater, but I think one thing, as we talk about this, I think that we have to realize that there is a problem as far as colleges are concerned, especially in the individual sports. I mean, a lot of them are getting rid of women's sports, and if they're not getting rid of them, I know as far as tennis is concerned, if you have 5 players, like 4 of them are from Europe. And so it's kind of hard when you're a motivational speaker and you go out and speak to the kids and you say, well, you have the opportunity to get a college scholarship, when now those things are kind of being taken away and it's getting to be a lot more difficult. And just period. I was looking at television the other day and noticing, you know, about a program that they have in D.C. where they're starting up is keeping PE into schools.
Yes.
We definitely don't need to get rid of the opportunity for PE for schools. I mean, it gives those kids the opportunity, first of all, to get rid of some of that energy. Second of all, it's very easy, you know, to say that, you know, every kid has ADD. Well,
right.
You know, when I was growing up, you know, we all had a lot of energy and it wasn't necessarily
and it wasn't labeled.
Yes.
That's right.
And I think, you know, it's just another way for, you know, minority kids actually to get labeled and to get left behind. And I think we have to fight for our kids.
I think that's a very insightful point. We also are dealing with, because of the lack of physical activity with kids, we're dealing with some health issues now with children that we normally wouldn't have seen until they were adults. We're dealing with the diabetes issues, we're dealing with high blood pressure issues, and all of those kinds of things. So the discipline and moving the body is such an important piece. But you're a busy lady. You actually are the team captain for the current U.S. Federation Cup. So what is the Federation Cup, and what are your responsibilities in that role?
Actually, the best way I like to describe it, because everyone knows about the equivalent for Davis Cup. We're the equivalent for Davis Cup. It's an international team competition. It's now called Fed Cup.
Okay.
And we have the opportunity to play other countries around the world. I'm very fortunate because I succeeded Billie Jean King, who was the captain. I've been the captain now for 3 years.
Wow.
Had the opportunity to...
Are you the first African-American to be captain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is wonderful. You heard it here. Okay.
And I was also the Olympic coach. So.
Oh my goodness, that's just wonderful.
It was really good, really nice for me because Venus and Serena and Lindsay Davenport, the top tennis players in our country, really supported me of getting the job, and it's been great. And we haven't quite won yet, but I still have hope. So we have our first match actually in Ettenheim, Germany, in April. So I'm looking forward to playing our first match, and hopefully we can win that one, and then we would come back and be in the States.
That's wonderful. So you've seen many countries.
Oh yeah. You know, I think one of the best thing about tennis for me, I remember when I was a young girl, kind of it was funny. I was kind of thinking to myself, like, oh, I don't really have anybody famous in my family.
So I guess I have to be it.
Well, you know, now that I look back on it, you know, it just kind of ended up that way. But I remember the first time that I went out international was actually to Japan, and I love sushi now, but I would always give my vouchers away, and I ate toast for 1 week, and I won my first professional tournament there. But I have been able to see the world, and it's been really great. And one place I haven't gone to Africa yet, but I'm definitely, hopefully, with God's will, that I will be there soon. So.
Oh, I'm sure that will happen, and they will receive you with open arms, and you will find people who followed that career right there from Africa, too.
Well,
You'll be surprised how many people. You're a member also of the American Tennis Association, and actually it has its headquarters right here in gorgeous Prince George's County. And the ATA has been around since 1916. And for people who didn't know, the ATA is the oldest African-American sports organization in the United States. And so what's been your role with the ATA?
Well, actually, I won my first ATA when I was 15 years old, and it allowed me to get into the United States Tennis Association, our Grand Slam here, which is the U.S. Open, to actually get into the qualifying. And so it's just been an amazing thing. It actually gave me the opportunity to take on to the next level, but I was beating people that looked like me, so it also helped me realize that I wasn't the only person out there. And Prince George's County is just, you know, a very quick and funny story. It's like, you know, we had the ATA here for 2 years, and Joe James was here at the time and helped. And so I met the county exec and Jack Johnson, and he said to me then, he's like, you need to come to Prince George's County.
There you go.
And so I laughed and laughed, and so, you know, here I am. I'm
there you are.
You know, 3.5 years later, I finally made it.
Well, he knows how to attract treasures. He knows how to attract treasures to the county. That is just wonderful. You've mentioned before your relationship with the Williams sisters, but you're mentoring them. So how did that come about?
Actually, the Women's Tennis Association started a mentoring process for when the rookies come on, that they would take on one of the older players, and the older players would help them basically just understand about being a professional. Also, if they had questions about their game and the whole thing. It's been a very successful program. It was one of the first that was starting as far as professionals were considered in women's sports. I happened to get I actually happened to get Serena. But I've known both of Venus and Serena since they were 7 and 8 years old, so I had pretty much been mentoring them anyway. So I mentored Serena for about 8 years. And I said to her, okay, you've now graduated. I can't tell you anything. You know, you've gone places I've never even thought about going, and it was just very good. And in the midst of that, Pam Shriver was Venus Williams' mentor. And what they do is try to actually put together personalities, really.
Okay.
And a lot of people say, you and Serena are so different, but really me and Serena are very much alike as far as we both take things to heart, and we're very emotional and very, very passionate, and you can see it. So they've done a great job in the whole mentoring process.
I think that's absolutely wonderful, because people think in such stiff competition as tennis is, and it's considered an individual sport, although we have the doubles, but that's not considered a team. No, okay. But at any rate, people don't see the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And they really don't. And so they don't realize that there is a mentoring and a nurturing going on there to keep the sport alive for women. And keep the opportunity alive for women.
Well, yeah, and I also think that they put it in place because you had so many kids that were coming in at such a young age. I mean, at 14 years old, 15 years old, and basically only people that were around them was their agents or their parents or their coach, and they needed someone that was kind of outside the box. They don't really necessarily have the opportunity to form friends. I mean, I graduated from high school. One of my girlfriends actually lives in Virginia, my best girlfriend. So it's like I was able to form relationships with people outside of the sport. So when things weren't going well for me on the court, I would still be able to go and talk about other things.
That's that well-roundedness. That's that balance. That's hard to get, isn't it?
That's very hard to get.
Yeah, it's got to be
I'm in the 40s now, and it's very hard to get. I mean, and it's very interesting too, because I wrote a book like a couple years ago, and it's just interesting.
What's
because
the title of it?
It's called Zina, Winning with Tennis.
There you go, Zina Winning with Tennis. All right.
But it's just very interesting, because when you do something at a young age. I mean, even though I went into playing professional at 17, and then you stop when you're 30-something. I mean, most people's lives are just starting.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So it is. There's that piece of it. The balance is everything. It appears, though, that actually women's tennis is a little bit more, I don't know, popular than men's tennis. Why is that?
The short skirts.
The short skirts.
Short skirts.
Okay.
That's pretty much.
Okay.
And I say that jokingly.
Yeah, because the guys wouldn't look too good in that.
Yeah, but the guys all tennis players have nice legs. That's just the fact. I mean, I think it's all the running. But, I say that jokingly, because it's like I would always get that. Like, I'd be on the plane or something, and somebody said, "Oh, yeah, I know you from your legs." I'm like, I don't even have a skirt on. I'm like, what are you talking about? I know you from your walk, you know? So it's just pretty interesting. I just think, women's tennis is one of those high-profile sports, and in individual sports where you see that person all the time.
Right. Well, now I want to shift into something, because there's a lot of pressure, a lot of work inside. It can be a cocoon and all of that. And I know that you have shared with folks that you actually battled bulimia when you were a world-class athlete, and that there was a lot of pressure there, but you actually managed to overcome the disease. How did you do that?
Well, it's very interesting, because my mom actually died when I was 19. So my first professional tournament that I got to in the finals, my mom never actually got to see me. It was a tournament in Indianapolis, and she went into a coma. And for me, I felt like that was the one person that loved me for me. It didn't matter whether I played or not. So I had a lot of inner pressures that was going on. I was the #1 junior in the world. I was supposed to be the next player since Althea Gibson. I have a butt on me. The skirts didn't necessarily fit me. I was always, told, if you get to this place, you could, you'll make this money. If you get to that. So basically, I'm leading up to, from 21 to about 28, I battled bulimia. And no one really understood or knew, other than my ex-husband at the time, that I was actually going through this, and I mentioned it to Sports Illustrated, and they came out with it, and in the African American community, it was basically unheard of. And I actually picked it up from one of my cousins that lived in LA that was doing some modeling and some acting, and I struggled with it for a very long time until one day I just basically lost to someone that was 300 in the world, was watching television. I had blotches on my face, my hair was falling out, my nails were really bad. And I said to my coach, I think I need help. I think I have a problem.
Well, I tell you, it may appear that things are always easy, but they really aren't. There's always a struggle. But thank God you just made it, and you're here for us, and we're so thankful for your honesty, your openness of the good times and the other times and all of that. Unfortunately, we're just out of time for this edition of Keeping It Livable, and I want to thank sincerely my guest, the lovely lady, Zina Garrison, for joining us. And folks, don't just celebrate women 1 month out of the year. Do it all year long. You can do it by going out and supporting our young female athletes. You heard that today. Don't just go to your son's game or event and forget about your daughter. Encourage our girls to be whatever they want to be, and back it up by supporting them. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Brown, and I'll see you next time on Keeping It Livable.